to Among the Few. For the ones who won't settle for the wide path, this is your place. So today is episode 8. Can you believe it?
We made it to episode 8.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. This has been such an incredible journey so far. We just want to really thank you guys because 4 episodes have officially dropped.
Yes, they have.
And we are now on every kind of platform. I don't know if you realized we added iHeartRadio.
Yes,
this last
we
week
did.
Because I met a friend in the grocery store and she said that's how she listens to podcasts. I'm like, girl, I'm gonna hook you up right now.
Do it.
So we're just excited to be a part of your lives now. We've had such great feedback. People are giving us such incredible responses. So thank you.
Thank you for all the shout outs on Facebook and social media. And not only that, our encouraging words. I love it when somebody comes up and they're like, I love the podcast. And then they share you know, an episode moment that I'm like, oh, that's really cool. It really impacted them. So thank you guys.
You know, one of the things you guys could do if you really just want to support us and help us out is if you didn't know, you can write a review on any of the podcast platforms and you can actually just write, I love toast, and it will help us.
Yes.
You can say something so random and it doesn't even matter. But if you really want to give us a great review, like these girls are amazing, we would love that too. But we just like those things, the shares. We have a good friend of ours, Jenny Branny. We're gonna holler
Thank you, Jen. Shout out to you.
Been sharing, and then she's like, "Hey, if you want to listen to a great podcast, check these out. This is my friend." So if you do things like that, it really does increase awareness and help us so much. So thank you. We appreciate you guys and love you.
Yes. So today, as you can see, we have a special guest with us. I want to introduce, this is Matilda Dixon. She is from Sweden. And this is Elizabeth Wilson. Yes. They are students from Global School of Supernatural Ministry. And they've actually been with us all weekend doing various ministry and opportunities that we've had both in different churches. So I feel like you guys have had a really rounded experience from teenagers to outreach in the inner city and everything in between. But we're going to go through some rapid fire questions to get to know them a little bit more. And then we're going to go into hearing a little bit about their journey. Today in this episode, I really was excited about it because I labeled it and named it Choosing Surrender. And I think they have such powerful testimonies when it comes to walking that full heart of surrender to the Lord. Before we get into that, I just wanted to ask, you guys ready?
Yes.
Who has had the biggest influence on your life?
Jesus.
Jesus. I love that. That's awesome. What's the most random thing you've done at ministry school?
That's such a hard question. It's a good question because there are a lot of random things.
Yes.
In first year, I would go up to one of our pastors and I would sing Keith Green songs to her really intensely. And she'd go, "Are you auditioning?"
Like "You Are So Beautiful" or what's the name of his song that everyone sings?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't either.
But yeah, I would have a new one every week. So I would sing just the Keith Green song of the week. Yeah.
That's fun.
Keith Green.
You, Elizabeth, anything random?
I can't think of anything right now, but honestly, I bet you when I get back to school, I'm going to do something and it's going to be like, oh,
that's what I should
have
have
said this on the podcast.
If your life right now had a theme song, what would it be?
It would be Let It Go.
Let It Go. Frozen, Let It Go.
Yes, for sure. Let It Go.
Let It Go
always
too.
playing. Always playing.
All right, here's another one. Who would win in a dodgeball game? Your class or your teachers at Global?
Our class would definitely win.
But I feel like some of the teachers would have a chance.
Yeah. Some
The
of them
class
would get there.
definitely. There are a lot of younger kids now in our class, and I say kids like 18, 19, 20. So,
But we have some fierce teachers. So if we can't get them out early, they might win.
They might win.
right.
All right. If you could instantly master one spiritual gift overnight, which one are you picking?
I think I would go with interpretation of tongues.
Oh yeah.
That one's always fascinating to me. I love hearing people speaking in tongues and praying in tongues. And I'm always asking the Holy Spirit, like, what are they saying? Lord, I've gotten some before, but if it could be just all the time, that'd be so fun.
Cool.
I think discernment, like discernment of spirits, is that what it says in there? Yeah. But also like wisdom, because you can have discernment and not have wisdom to know what to do with it. So
I would say wisdom too, for sure.
Wisdom is good. Wisdom is
What
great.
about you? I'm just
Me?
curious. That's a good question.
Oh, if I could instantly master one spiritual gift overnight, I would say mastering. That's very intense. I would say healing, because healing is something that I always have to push myself. Like I'm always, when we pray for healing, I always back up because that's not my primary spiritual gift. So when I pray for healing, I really have to step out in faith and activate it. So I would say healing would be mine. But I'm so excited that you guys have joined us today because, like I said, choosing surrender. And both of you have extremely powerful testimonies as we've gotten to know you over the weekend. And so today we're going to start with Matilda to tell us your journey to the Lord. And basically, how did you end up at GSSM and what led you here?
the whole story. Well, so I was born into a Christian family, like in the faith movement, and we went to church when I was little, and I just really loved Jesus. And I remember when I was 4, I asked my mom, like, does Jesus live in my heart? And she was like, yeah, you asked him to move in last year. And I was like, last year I was 3. Like, I don't remember that. So I was like, can you just give me the prayer and I'll just go and pray. And so she gave me this prayer and I would go and pray it like every day for like a really long time, or it felt like that, at least a 4-year-old. But I would like hide under my bed, hide under the staircase, and just like, ask Jesus to move in. And then when I was 6, I remember like just seeing Jesus like living in my heart and like walking around in my heart. I thought the heart was like really big. And he was like so happy to be there. And then like life was rough in my family. Like my parents did not have a great marriage, and they probably didn't know a lot that they needed to know to raise kids, and also to just, they needed a lot of inner healing, I think. And so we had it really rough. And then when I was 10, they started drinking. And so it went from being really bad to like really, really bad. And between the ages of 10 and 14, I was sexually abused by my friends. And when you're a kid, you don't necessarily understand. You're thinking like, I'm doing something wrong. And so I had so much shame, and I was like, Jesus, forgive me. And it was like, but other people were doing things to me, but I was thinking that I was like sinning. Whereas I was 10 and I didn't know what to do. And so when I was 14, I started going to camps when I was 10. So I would go to camp twice a year, and I would have these great encounters with Jesus. But I was at this Christian school where all of my abusers were. And it was just like really, really rough. And so when I was 14, I decided to kill myself. And I was like, but I don't want to be one of those people who kills themselves and then everyone is sad afterwards because they really loved you. And so I was like, okay, if there's anyone who really loves me, I'll keep living for that person. So I'm very list oriented. So I had this list, and I was like listing every single person. I was like pacing my living room, and I was listing every person who should love me. And I got to the end of the list, and I was like, there is no one who actually loves me. And in that moment when I was like, okay, I guess I'll just kill myself, I heard the Lord saying, I love you. And I was like, no. And so he said it again, I love you. And I was like, no, you do not love me. If you had loved me, I would have great parents. I would be in a school where people are nice to me. Like, I wouldn't have all of the struggle that I've had in my life. And I was like, what do you got to say about that, God? And he was like, I love you. And I got so frustrated. And I said, Lord, if this is your only response, like, I cannot argue with you if this is all you have to say to me. But I decided to not kill myself right then and there. And then I bargained with God and I said, okay, if you let me transfer to another school, I will be the next Paul. And I was like, why did I say that? Where did that thought come from? I was like, no, God. And I was like, you cannot hold me accountable to this word. And I was like, I felt like God was holding me accountable to it. And I was like, no, I cannot. Like, I am me. I cannot be Paul. But what I will do, I will actually try. Like, I have tried, but I will like really try to be a Christian if you let me transfer. And so I got to transfer, which was a miracle. Because my parents like refused. They're like, you're in a good Christian school. I was like, yeah, it's great. And so I got to transfer and I was like, okay, God, let's go. And I spent like all summer going to camps and going to conferences and just seeking the Lord. And I got to this new school when fall came around and I was like back in this deep, dark pit. And I just wanted to kill myself. And I had this eating disorder. I had anxiety and panic attacks all the time. And it was just like really, really rough. But I started going to church. So I was going like twice a week. I was going Tuesday and Friday every week to church and like really seeking the Lord. So I would be like cutting myself and then going to church right after. And it was like just this really painful season. And when the fall break came around, I went to this conference and someone was preaching on the cross. And he said, Jesus carried everything, all of your sufferings, all of your burdens, everything that is just like oppressing you. He carried all of that on the cross. Like that's why he suffered so much, because he took all of it. So you can just give it to him. And I stood up and I like physically started manifesting, like taking off this heavy backpack and throwing it on the cross and pulling out arrows from every attack of the enemy and breaking off chains and throwing it on the cross and listing every single person that had ever hurt me and throwing it on the cross. And I walked out of that room and I was a completely new person. And I was born again and I was filled with the Spirit. And I started praying for people and seeing people healed and got words of knowledge. And I didn't know what to do with them because I didn't know what it was. And all of a sudden I was like a witness, like the Bible says that we are to be. And I didn't even have to try. Because before I'd been trying so much. But when I realized what Jesus did for me, I didn't have to try anymore. And so I got like really involved in church and doing all the things. And then when I was like 19, I was just so hurt still. So I had deliverance, but I hadn't had any inner healing. And I like hated men. And like, yeah, I think when I was 19, I had like 10 people try to date me within 8 weeks. And I was like, okay. Like, I was like, I'm not on the meat market. And it was just like, I felt like there was not a guy out there who could see me for who I actually was. They just wanted, this beautiful blonde girl. And I was like, there is so much more than just like what meets the eye. And I was just like, I just hated men. And everyone was telling me like, I think you're a lesbian. And so that was like my friends at church, like people who were really close to me, they kept repeating like a mantra, like, I think you're a lesbian. And I was like, because I hate men. And so one day I was like, you know what? Maybe I am a lesbian. And then I ended up actually marrying a woman and we were together for 8 years. And throughout that whole time, I was like, I know that I'm living for Jesus. I even got a tattoo when I was like, I know that I'm kind of walking away from the path that the Lord has for me. But I know that the only reason that I'm alive is because Jesus saved me. I was going to kill myself and the Lord stopped me. And then I got to live because of what he did. And so I was like pursuing the Lord, and then we hit COVID and I crushed my knee. And so not only could I not meet people, I couldn't like go out and meet people either if I wanted to. So I was like all alone, and in that like solitude, I was like, it's all about Jesus. Like I can't be living my life for anything else. I can't be living for this world. And so I started crying out to God more. I started going to like evening Bible school. I started attending small groups and doing all the things that you should be doing, like getting to community. And all of the communities that I got into were so compromised. And I was like, God, I am so tired of being in Christian communities that I don't feel safe in, like either being shunned because of the lifestyle that I was living, or being accepted because people were okay with sin. And I wasn't convicted. Like I was not convicted that I was living in sin. I was at this like stoplight and it was yellow and I was waiting for it to turn red or green. But I was so hurt that I couldn't look to actually see like which way it was going to go. And so I started crying out in 2023 or end of 2022. I started crying out to the Lord. I was like, just send me to a church, send me to a fellowship, like a community where people are looking more at you than they're looking at sin. Because if I get to a place like that, I will feel safe and I will let you convict me. I will wait and see if it's green or red. And so he woke me up one morning in 2023 and he told me to go to a conference. And I was like, God, I don't want to go to this church. And it was the church I'd been born into, but I was never a member of that church. And he said, it'll be fun. I was like, okay. When the Lord speaks to you, you obey. So I went and he spoke to me, like the man who was speaking that day. He pointed me out of the crowd and like gave me a word from the Lord that really resonated with me. And I was like, okay, God sees me and God wants me. And then I just started spending so much time with him. I was between jobs, so I would spend 40 hours a week just with the Lord, like out in the woods, working on my lumber, and just like, yeah, hanging out with the Lord. And he was talking to me and he was showing me things. And he was like, he had me go and reconcile with my parents and do all of these things. And I just, during that time, I was like, God, I'm so done with compromise. I don't want any more compromise in my life. I just want you. Yeah. And I want to live. I want to be on the narrow path. I don't want to compromise and do the worldly things anymore. And one day when I started my new job, I was working in a kitchen. So I could just listen to like sermons all day. And I was listening to a sermon and this man was preaching and he talked about how our true identity is that we are children of God. And when that hit me, it like landed in my heart for the first time in my life that I am a child of God and that is my main identity. And immediately the enemy was like, you're this, you're that. And like and I said, no, I'm a child of God to every single assault. And then eventually he said, well, you're a lesbian. And I said, see here, I am a daughter of the Most High King. And I saw every false identity just fall to the ground. And I saw myself completely covered in the identity that I am a child of God. Yeah. And then I said, okay, God, I give you my marriage. If I'm living in sin, convict me. And it can't be a whispering conviction. Like, you need to break my heart. And I woke up 2 weeks later and I saw this reel that I could not relate to about a woman who had come out of a homosexual lifestyle, and it just wrecked me. Even though I couldn't relate to it, like it just broke my heart. And then it was still hard. Like I still had to get a divorce, and I was like, I don't know how to get a divorce. Like, but it was also funny that moment when I realized that, when I was convicted and when I realized that I wasn't a lesbian, I also stopped having all of those urges. And like, I could not lesbian anymore. It literally was like so foreign. It was the strangest thing to do. Like, I was like, why would anyone do this? And it was crazy because
Wow.
it was like such a shift immediately. But I was still like, God, I can't do this. And it took almost 11 weeks, I think, to actually ask for a divorce after I'd been convicted. And so at one point I was cleaning my house and I was like furious. And I was like, God, I cannot do this. Like, it's not possible to do this. And I felt like he picked me up like a little child into his arms and he just held me and he said, I have better plans for you. And that released me. And I was like, God has better plans for me. Like, whatever that is, like, I don't even care what the better plans are because I trust that like anything is probably better than where I am right now. And so I just had to imagine anything better. And that also just freed me to, I was like, okay, God, when are we doing this? Let's pick a date. Let's like, and so he just supernaturally led me through that whole thing. Yeah. And then I met people.
Today,
and then I met people from Global and they were like, come to the school. And I felt like I had asked the Lord, like, should I do this? Should I do that? And I just felt unease about everything. And then I met a team from Global at my church and they were like, you should come to the school. And I just felt this fire of the Lord in my heart.
Amen.
And so that's how I ended up at GSSM.
And then today you are married.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Lord spoke to me like a week after my divorce was finalized, and he said, I'm sending you your husband. And I was like, I hate men. Like, still, like, I don't. And so he took me on this inner healing journey where he showed me like actual godly men who looked like Jesus. And that was very healing. And like the fall, November of 2024, I think it must be. And I had a 1 week vision where, so every time I sat down, like the movie would start playing and I was seeing like my future with my husband for 6 days. And then the 7th day I saw like what our children would be like in our ministry and like the heart that they would carry because of what the Lord has instilled in us. And I was like so undone after a whole week of just like, I was like, okay, God like really has someone great. And then 2 months later I met the Lord told me, this guy is your husband. And I was like, okay. And then he had to convince me. But yeah.
I read the book, Gay Girl, Good God by Jackie Hill Perry a couple of years ago. And that's really so similar to her testimony as being in a safe church community that opened up her eyes to her true identity as a child of God. I mean, it's almost identical. And I have a good friend of mine whose dad lived in the homosexual lifestyle for probably 25, 30 years. He was a drag queen. He owned a bar. He did all the things, really immersed in that lifestyle. And same exact story is that God just redefined him through being a child of God as like your prime, the prime identity that we carry as people. And I think it's one of those beautiful things because like the church has written off that community as being like reachable. In so many ways. And this is actually one of like the biggest parts of my personal heart is that I want to see like restoration come to people whose identities have been lost in every area of life, including that. And so what a beautiful example of just being surrendered, because we do have to surrender all of it when we come to Jesus in that way, saying like, look, I have this idea of who I am. I'm angry. I'm, whatever our identities are, because we have them. I'm addicted. I'm this, I'm that. But if we surrender that to the Lord and let him redefine us, then this freedom comes. It's so beautiful. I love that.
The most powerful thing that I took out of your testimony, and I've been dwelling on this as I heard it before this episode, was the fact that the shunning of the church because of the homosexual lifestyle that you were living in. And as I was thinking about it and dwelling on your testimony, I was like, we all have areas of our heart that we have not surrendered. So just because your sexuality was on display, because everybody can see it, there are multiple people who live with their boyfriends and they're committing fornication and there's adultery, which we can't see. And there's a lot of hidden sexual sin that we simply can't see.
And people hide it so well.
And they hide it so well, from pornography to sexual acts that are done in, darkness. And I was
the
dwelling
speck
on that
plank thing. It's like I'm looking at you, and I got a plank hanging out of my own eye.
And it was so powerful in your testimony, because I was like, you continued to persevere, like saying, I truly served God. Even though that was my lifestyle, I still felt I was pursuing him. And that just blew me away for a minute, because I'm like, there are people living with their boyfriends and they feel like they're truly pursuing God, but yet they have not given their sexuality over to the Lord.
Well, and it's deception.
And it is deception.
The enemy is good at that, you know?
And it can be anything. It can be, yes, sexuality is a big area of our heart, but it can be anything. It can be gossip.
Pride.
It can be pride. It can be your mindset that you have not fully surrendered to the Lord. And I think that's such a powerful way to look at, I'm going to step into full surrender by becoming a child of God.
Yeah.
I love
Because
that
you
too.
are experiencing deliverance throughout your journey.
Yeah.
But it also highlights how important inner healing is.
Yeah.
Like
For sure.
how we can be Christians and still need healing even after we say and experience salvation, the surrender to the Lord. Like, okay, God, I'm saved now, but it doesn't stop there. Like there is wounds, inner wounds that we have to take care of even on our journey, and dealing with relationships with parents and all these things that can cause trauma in our lives.
Yeah, it's the sanctification process.
It is that process.
That the Lord is making us more like him. But when we're first saved, we honestly we're just kind of clueless to what it even means. And so there's a journey for everyone, and it all looks different. But I love the vulnerability that you brought to that, saying, okay, Lord, if this isn't pleasing to you, which is what I talk about a lot just in my own life, like, is this pleasing? Is the fact that I want to control people pleasing to you? No. Is my pride pleasing to you? Absolutely not. Yeah. Is this unforgiveness in my heart pleasing to you? No. But like, am I willing to bring it? That's the question.
And I think the beauty of Elizabeth's story, so we want to give you time to share your journey, how you came to rededicate your life to the Lord and end up at GSSM as well.
Yeah. So I'm a pastor's kid. So I grew up.
Yeah.
High five, air high five. I'm a pastor's kid too.
So I grew up in the church, basically going to different events, hearing my dad preach, and are you the pastor's kid? Yes, I am. That is my identity. I do have a name, but that's fine. But I was always drawn to honesty, and as a little kid, I would pick up that compromise in the churches we would go into, and I would see stuff, and I'm like, but you're saying you like Jesus, and that's not the Jesus that I know. Because I would, similar to like Matilda when she was little, I would always pull away and just be talking to Jesus all the time when I was little. So I started, getting older, and in high school, probably in middle school, I stopped going to church, and I did dance. So I use that, of course, as an excuse when we would have practice on Sundays or something. Like, I just can't go to church today. I just have to focus. And it's like, that's poor excuse. So I stopped just altogether. And then I still prayed. And I'm like, well, I'm a Christian. God knows me. My dad's a pastor. I'm saved. I'm fine. Right. So that's what, I would just leave it there. And I would then took care of my grandmother, like at the end of high school. And eventually, like in 2020, she passed. And so I started going into work and school and picking up all of those things. And I met this man. And at first, it was great. I was like, oh, this is exciting. Because people would, like, at work and stuff, guys would talk to me all the time. And I'm like, nope. Like, I could see them coming from a mile away. I'm like, he's about to try to talk to me. I'm like, I'm so good on that. Like, just leave me alone. Until this guy was like, you know what? Like, my grandpa's passed. I'm like, I don't have anybody to take care of anymore. I have time. So what could be the worst thing that could happen? So we started talking, started going out, and I didn't know it at the time, but there was a lot of love bombing. that was happening. He would say all the right things, flowers, all the things that I would tell him I liked, you know, and what I wanted, he would do. And that was for 3 months. And then like about the 3-month mark, it all, like he changed very drastically. And what love bombing does is that your mind changes.
Confusion.
You're expecting these things. So when he changed, I was like, oh, this is my fault. Like I'm doing something wrong. I did something wrong here, because why are you not talking to me? Like, why are you not talking to me through issues we're having, or, you know, whatever the case. And also though, in that love bombing time, he started to pursue me more sexually. And I was like, well, I'm Christian. I don't want to do anything before marriage. And he's like, well, but there's forgiveness.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
You can, you know,
man.
you can go to forgiveness. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. But I mean, there is grace and forgiveness. So it's like the first couple of times. And I was like in the beginning too, I felt the conviction of the Lord. And I'm like, I know this is wrong. But I wasn't very deep with the Lord anymore. I wasn't going to church. You know, I wasn't really following him. And what was interesting too, this guy, he called me out on that. He's like, well, you're not, like, so eventually from forgiveness, he went into like, well, you know, you're not really.
You didn't even go.
Yeah, you're not really
You're not
following that
Christian.
way anyway. So what's the big deal? And I'm sitting there thinking like it just started to slowly like hit me. I'm like, I'm at a really strange place right now, because I'm feeling this conviction, and also he's kind of right. I'm saying I'm a Christian, but I'm not at all living this. And so in that time I was like, and this was going on for about 3 years, because we had eventually moved in together, still fornicating, still living that life. And like I told you, Jackie, the other day, I was living the married life without being married.
Yes.
And so I was like, and we got engaged at one point, but it just felt like he was like, okay, well, she got the ring, got what she wanted.
And he got
So
what he
we're good.
wanted. Let's just be real.
Oh yeah, he's been got that. Like
He's
that.
been having that often.
You know, he's like, I'm good. And
Yeah.
so like as we were living together, though, like I said, this battle was going on inside of me. Like, man, like I really want to pursue God, but how can I? Because I'm living this way. And so I was just in this constant shame. And I didn't feel like I could go to anyone. My dad's a pastor.
Yeah.
And
Like how you would have been received by him. Just so
Right.
much shame.
And I do remember when I started talking to my dad about it, because there was also the emotional abuse that came from the relationship too. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And so I started talking to my dad about it. And he was like, I remember the very first time, because my ex and I had a fight. And I was weeping. I called my dad because something in me, I was like, you just need to talk to dad. And I was like, okay. So I called him and he's like, baby girl, that's abuse. And I just immediately stopped crying. So like, whoa,
Yeah.
that word, that's a little far.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about that. But I sat there and was listening to my dad. I was like, how did I even get here?
Yeah.
Because too, like all that time when guys were trying to talk to me and stuff, I was like, nope, because I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
But then I let this one in. And so again, like just this shame. And I'm like, I'm not even myself anymore. I don't know who I am. I don't know what to do. I thought I believed in God, but I don't know how to go about that, because does he really love me? Like, I can't bring all this to him. That's, I just feel gross. And so I was like, Lord, I don't know what to do. I want to love you. I want to know you. I want to be who you've called me to be, but I don't know what that is. And so it got to a point like near the end of the relationship, about 8 to 6 months to the end, because I was starting to like just check out. I got to a place I would look in the mirror and I didn't see anything. And it freaked me out. Because I'm like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And that was always the question. But so I would cry out to God. I'm like, you say you're close to the brokenhearted. My heart is like shattered. So you must be close.
Yeah.
So, and I would pray the like prayers. I'd be crying in the shower. I'm like, Lord, if you're here, help. Take me out of this. Like, show me what to do. I know we're unequally yoked. I know something is wrong here. I don't want to be living like this. Like, I want to be married. I want a healthy relationship. I want to be both of us coming to you first. But still in that narrative too, I was like, but what can I do to save him? Like, how can I do that? I'm like, well, I'm not the God of creation, so that's never going to happen, but it's only God. So I would be crying out, and eventually my mom was like, hey, we have these friends that have a house church, and they're inviting some people from Kenya to like share some messages and, you know, prophesy over us. I'm like, I don't know what prophecy means, but cool. I'm sure there's got to be something better than this, because too at the time I still wasn't going to church because I felt like they weren't going deep enough for me. I'm like, it felt very surface level.
Yeah.
And going to there, I didn't find anybody that I could talk to for help, because it was
Probably just going through the motions in and out.
right. Yeah. And with all the shame, I'm like, I can't share what's going on in my life with
Not a
these
safe
people
space.
because everybody's happy
Yeah.
all the time. Like, I don't want to.
Which is not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Right. So like you were saying, like with the, you know, hidden sin kind of thing, you don't know what's going on in their lives really, but that's what they were showing. Everything was good. Everything was happy. And I'm this person carrying all this stuff and I don't know what to do with it, but I feel like I couldn't go to anybody at a church. And so I went to this house church. I was like, okay, I feel so uncomfortable, but I know that these people, like, I felt their realness. And so when the pastors were just like praying over us and everything, every time someone would prophesy over me, I would weep. I would just break down and cry. I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't cry in front of people. Like, what is happening right now? And I just felt the love of the Father so deeply. And then as they were saying those things, you know, one of the pastors eventually turned to my dad. We were standing next to each other and he was like, do you have any children in ministry? And my dad was like, no, I don't right now. I'm the youngest of 4. And the pastor pointed at me. He was like, she's going to be the one to take your mantle, to everything that you've cultivated and done in ministry. Like, she's going to take over and like go through it. And I was like, it felt so right. And
The
just
calling.
it something in me, it was like everything just came together and I was like, that's who I am.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, like that's my purpose. I'm meant to follow you, God. Like, you love me.
Yeah.
That you've called me. You want me. How do I get there?
The narrow path.
Yeah.
Right?
Where is it, Lord?
I'm like, because I'm going to these meetings now with them. I'm still living with him, with the ex. But I'm like, okay, Lord, like, kind of like you were, right? Like, I'm still doing this. But at this point, I was separating myself physically from him. And that ended up he was going into pornography, and we had arguments about that. And so I was like, okay, Lord, I need your help because I'm not ready to break up. I don't know how to do this because with how he was with the emotional abuse and the mental abuse, the year before I finally broke up with him. I broke up with him 3 times.
Wow.
The first time I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. I think we should separate. And he just came back at it with like, oh, well, no, we just got to talk. You haven't talked to me about it. And like, what's going on? And this victim would come up. Second time, I started to even like pack my stuff up. And I was like, we tried again, it's just not, well, why didn't you tell me? What did it up? Like, do I have to? Like, what? It's clearly something is wrong.
Yeah.
Then I remember another time I gave him the ring back. And I still came back. We continued to live together. And I was like, and that's when I started to like shut down because I'm like.
You even had mentioned like you stopped eating.
Yes. And that point, because I had given the ring back and I still stayed. And I'm like, wow, like, how am I ever going to follow God if I can't even commit to following, if I can't leave this place? Like, I'm still here. Yeah. I gave the ring back. Like, I was trying to take the steps, but it just.
So from the time that you got that prophetic word at the house church to the point where you actually like left, how long was that transition for you?
That was probably 5 months, like to actually leaving. And because that word was burning in my heart. And I would keep remembering, I'm like, no, like I have to keep going.
And then after that 5 months, is that when you transitioned, was like, went to school, like global?
Yeah. So in that house church, there was a couple there that they had gone to GSSM. And they were saying like, yeah, we actually met that pastor that prophesied over you at Global.
Okay. Yeah.
So like, we're going to go to GSI this year, which is their summer intensive. Yeah. And they're like, you should come with us. Just like check it out. See if if you like it and kind of pursue it with us. So at that point, like right before GSI, like I was eating maybe 1 meal a day. And that meal was like scrambled eggs or like eggs and rice. Like it was barely anything. I just couldn't stomach. I was so stressed. So just like out of it. And so I was like, okay, you know what? Let's try it.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. See what happens. And as soon as I stepped into Global Awakening, my stomach started growling. I was like, that hasn't happened in months.
What is this sensation?
Right? Like what? Like what is happening right here? I was like, am I hungry? That's crazy. Wow. And I could eat and I actually stomach it. And I was laughing with people. And when I would talk with people, they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I understand. I'm like, I haven't heard those words spoken back to me in years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And just, so in that 3 weeks, I was like, I don't know what happened to me. I just feel so different. And it was actually the last day of GSI. I went straight to my parents' house. And I was telling them all the testimonies. I'm like, yeah, this happened. I saw this healing and da-da-da. And then the Lord was like, it is time. I'm like, time? No. So, okay. So I asked my parents, I was like, could you drive me to the apartment? Because the apartment that we were living at was like 40 minutes away from my parents' house. So I was like, can you drive me there? Because I knew if I had driven myself to go end the relationship, there was very much so a possibility that I would end up staying again. And I was like, with what just happened in those 3 weeks, there's no way I can stay.
Yeah.
so I had my parents take me up, and I went in and I was like, hey, this is what's happening. We can't continue on like this. And as he was going on his loop, you know, the victim, he even had this whole scene of looking out the window crying. And I just, I was
sorry.
like, what?
A whole
I just
scene
imagine.
Like, you're leaving me right now. I'm like, I am. But in that moment, I was like, Holy Spirit, what do I say? And the Lord was just like, nothing. Just let me. I was like, okay. So I was just completely silent, just standing there, just watching him do this whole thing. And the Lord, like, there was so much grace. And I was like, okay, like, we're good. And I left. And as soon as I got in the car, I started crying. But I was like, it's done.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
and
powerful.
so then that summer, you know, my family helped me. Like, I was able to go back with my parents, and my family helped me take all my stuff, and I had furniture in the apartment and stuff. They moved it. And so it was like, through that time, like, who's going to help me do all this stuff? Nobody's going to blah, blah, blah. And my family showed up. And even like friends from work helped me too.
Yeah.
And so then I started at GSSM, and
Awesome.
Well, I think
So
it's
much
so
inner
wild.
healing.
Like, both of you guys have really a clear path that the Lord revealed, but the narrow path is hard.
Yeah.
And we say this. That's why the Bible says, few there be that find it. Because it requires courage. It requires community.
yeah.
It requires obedience, surrender, like all of these hard things that we don't want to do. And so I think it's so beautiful what God has done through your lives. And thank you guys so much for being on the show today. I just feel inspired. And I know so many people are going to glean so much from your experiences. So thank you for your vulnerability, because we know it's not easy to put yourself out there like that. And so we just really want to honor you guys and say thank you for being a part of today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for participating in this conversation today, of course. And we just hope you have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.
Bye.